Today, this committee recognises the traditional custodians of this land on which we meet. We support their right to democratic representation and social inclusion. Ipswich City Council respectfully recognises the ongoing challenges faced by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people, and this committee supports their inclusion and participation in community, cultural, arts and sports activities. We welcome Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people present here and online.
Thank you, Councillor Kunzelman, and welcome to the first Community, Culture, Arts and Sports Committee for the year. Moving on to item number 1, which is the confirmation of the minutes of the previous committee. The recommendation here is that the minutes of the Community, Culture, Arts and Sports Committee of 29 November 2022 be confirmed. I'm happy to move. Thanks, Councillor Kunzelman, for seconding that. Do we have any amendments or alterations on the minutes? No, I'll take that straight to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous and carried. I think it's worth mentioning and welcoming our 2 new members to the committee this morning. Thank you, Councillor Doyle and Councillor Ireland, for joining us on the committee. We can't keep you away from the fun that is all things community, culture, arts and sports. So thank you for your inclusion and your participation.
Thank you, Chair.
Over to officer reports now, and the first we have is the Active Ipswich Strategy 2031 Annual Report Card. Would any member of committee like to speak to a council officer with regards to the report? No, so the recommendation here is that this is a joint report by Sports and Rec Officer, Physical Activity, and the team lead Open Space Facilities concerning the first year review of our Active Ipswich Strategy recommendation implementation. And this recommendation is to receive a note. I'm happy to move. Do I have a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Jonick. Just moving into discussion with regards to the item in front of us this morning, I thought it would be worth highlighting for the benefit of the committee a slight amendment that had occurred over the course over the last half of last year with regards to the Healthy Active Alliance and the changes that were subsequently made there. There was a strategic decision made to, instead of saturating the market with other groups, those groups in Ipswich who endeavour to promote healthy, active Ipswich lifestyles tend to have the same people on them, members from Westmoreton Health, members from the Primary Healthcare Network, members from other local governments in our surrounds, and those who actually work in the industry. So in anticipation of thinking about inviting these people to yet another meeting and expecting them to give up their time, we thought it would be prudent of us to join another group who are promoting this in the space. So that is the Obesity Advisory Group, the Westmoreton Obesity Advisory Group. Now that group has met several times over the course of last year, just really nutting out what we wish to achieve in trying to promote a healthy, active Ipswich with a targeted approach towards preventing diabetes. There are some really great members who have made some excellent contributions to that group so far. So I just wanted to canvass that with the committee this morning and let them know that has been happening in the background. And we might need to make a slight amendment to a resolution of council that we made earlier. So I'm going to add a second recommendation here, and it's that the councillor represent, oh great, you've got it there, that the councillor representation be amended to reflect the revised arrangements for the Active Ipswich Strategy 2031. So that kind of clears up the previous resolution of council that had us establishing our own group of our own, and we'll be able to make those administrative changes in the background for consistency.
May I suggest, Chair, that we actually... Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. I realise that you and I are on this committee, but I didn't know we were the Secretariat.
So this is a separate committee to the West Moreton Diabetes Alliance.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah, the Obesity Advisory Group.
Yeah.
So I guess and if we need Marnie Orr to address committee this morning, but equally if you're happy for me to answer the question, I will. Part of the Healthy Active Alliance was that council would support that group in a secretariat role. So instead of supporting the Healthy Active Alliance, it's now supporting the Obesity Advisory Group by way of council officers providing that support.
Thank you.
Meth, thank you.
Just know that these minutes may be read for years to come. Will we be specific that it's the Health Alliance?
Healthy Active.
Well, I'm just mention that it's now the Obesity Advisory Group. Should we?
Absolutely, yeah.
Just to be.
Terrific. Would we create a second sentence there? Your thoughts?
Yeah, so it's a change from
This is a change from
the previously approved.
yeah. This is a change from
Healthy Active City Alliance to West Moreton Obesity Advisory Group.
Yep, great. Yep, I'll accept
And I guess
that.
as way of commentary, Chair, when I look at page 16 of 49, which looks at the action plans to be delivered, I'm quite delighted that we have a structured approach. And so far, like the urban greening action plan, the aquatic facilities action plan, it was really great to have the facts there. So for us as decision makers, we can start weighing up budget and resources and so on. So really appreciative of this good governance approach.
Yeah, it's an excellent strategy that pulls together many different parts of the organisation into one and allows us to hold each other accountable, which I think is the true spirit of this document. It's about, what are we doing in transport planning? What are we doing in Parks and Rec? What are we doing about planning for open spaces in the future? And we're hitting some really great high notes here. As you mentioned, we've adopted quite a few action plans and strategies that are directly in alignment with the work that falls out of this strategy. We look forward to that ongoing work that has to happen when planning for the new local government infrastructure plan. The work that we're doing that falls out of this strategy will be really important in nailing that down. So, I'm very happy with the report card as it stands, and I've been quite actively involved in a lot of the work that's happened behind the scenes, and I look forward to another great year of kicking goals.
Through the chair, I have a question. Mountain biking action plan, you've said in your report that it's 22-23 proposed delivery. You said that the plan seeks to analyse the current mountain biking landscape. We have areas out through Woolshed and in the Grandchester area. I'm just wondering if I could have a look at that report, the gaps and opportunities in trail facilities. I wonder if we could have a look at that one.
Yeah, we'll take that as a question on notice, and we might have a minute circulated to all committee members, or even just to catch up with the relevant council officer. And I mustn't take work for the writing of this report, Councillor Ireland. It's not mine. Marnie Orr can take the credit. Yes. Yep, absolutely.
Just through you, Chair, under projects to be delivered in 2023 to 24, that mountain biking action plan is highlighted as well. So I think that there's a little bit of a delay there.
Yep. Any further comments? Okay, we'll take that on notice, Councillor Ireland, and we'll get you involved in the development of that. All those in favour of adopting the recommendation? That's unanimous and carried, thank you. Moving on to the Ipswich Library's annual report card. This is a report concerning Ipswich Library services improvements and customer demand in 2022. Would anyone like to speak to the relevant council officer on this report? So the recommendation here is that the report concerning Ipswich Library's annual report card be received and its contents noted. I'm happy to move that, and thank you, Councillor Doyle, for seconding. I'd like to open that up for any discussion. Councillor Ireland, I assume.
Here I come again. First of all, thank you to the libraries. That the Redbank Plains Library is doing really well. I was there yesterday for the African component. I think the mothers enjoyed it more than the kids did with the drumming. But secondly, we really need a car park down there. If we're going to have 50 children enrolled for these programs, there's not 50 car parks, and a lot of them have little babies that they're trying to get out of the car. We had it in the budget last year and it got taken out. I really will be pushing to get that car park in. And secondly, after that, can I please ask that we put some thought towards a library at Ripley? I know you love having me on this committee. Thank you.
No, thanks, Councillor Ireland. And there will be significant movement this year in planning for future library locations. The facilities plan development is a long-term plan that some work is underway with at the moment. So it will help us identify those locations where libraries will go in the future. So it's kind of taking the library strategy, which is still an outstanding strategy yet to come to this committee, that needs a little bit of work. But I understand that because of our, I guess, excitement and focus on delivering new facilities, the first, I guess, action item for us to deal with as a group is where exactly are those facilities going to go and what are our obligations before we start to deliver new pieces of infrastructure, just foreshadowing the conversations we might need to have around Springfield and the long-term plan there. There are lots of, factors that play into this. So I really support this and as the report says, the facilities plan development.
So through the chair, we're aware that the state government's going to deliver a community centre. Can I suggest that we actually work with the community centre and put a library with it? That would be great.
I'll take that as an action item for the team to have a look at when developing the facilities plan. Thank you, Councillor Ireland. And on the car park, I'm unsure if there is a current briefing note or any advice on that. So I'm happy to take that as a further action item as well, but making the point that, yes, this will be a conversation that we have in budget discussions as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, Councillor Doyle, thank you.
Thank you. I'd also like to just point out that the Redbank Plaza Library, the negotiations are still underway with Redbank Plaza Shopping Centre, so to increase the space there as well as include access from the shopping centre itself. You and I, as the divisional councillors, know that it will be a much better outcome to have a doorway or a connection from the shopping centre itself rather than out on the roadway.
It's kind of hidden, isn't it?
Yeah, and I just was delighted to read the first Five Forever Messy Play program received the highest level of attendance right across our library location. So not to turn it into a competition or anything, but our division residents clearly love to read and get the kids involved at the library early, which is great to see. I was also really happy to read that with regard to the Ipswich Central Library, that after school attendance numbers have doubled. So in this digital age, it's comforting to know that the kids are still heading to the library after school. It's certainly something I did each day. Not sure how much time was spent studying whilst in the library, but I still attended. So yeah, it's great to see that the attendance numbers have increased. And as chair of Ipswich Central, it's also pleasing to read that there is a link to the activation within the Nicholas Street precinct. So yeah, really pleased with our library program right across the city.
Yeah, it's there's so many instances in this report of increased usage of our library services, and I think that that's really important, even down to the Carolee Library Pod, which the demand is so high there, we find it a logistical challenge at times. So, yeah, it is. It's so wonderful to see that, you know, we're delivering for our community. They're actually attending the library, and you know, we should continue to focus some marketing efforts into that to further increase participation in the library services. But I guess overwhelmingly for me, it's a journey that we're not on ourselves, and the state government do chip in a fair amount of money for us to be able to roll out our services across the city as well, which is great. We're forward planning, we're accessing grants, and we're making sure we're making the most of the resources that we've got to use there, and I think that that's an important tale that comes out in this report as well. Mayor, did you have a comment?
I'll say the residents of Ipswich invest a lot of money in the libraries. So to see, we're obviously on the right trajectory because every single library has had significant increases. Like I said, Carolee, I think it was 27% from memory. So it's great to see that. From this report, I did learn a new word. Individual study carols. I didn't know what carols were, so it was good to. It's always good to learn every day. And I do note too that the Children's Library was the recipient of the Local Government Managers of Australia Queensland Excellence Excellence in Innovation Award for 2022, and also the recipient of the Local Government Professionals National Federation Awards for Community Service Delivery. This award recognised the projects that have adopted a different approach to improve service delivery. So that's fantastic to see that. And my husband's Auntie Dot would be very upset with me. She's a long-term member of Foyles. The Friends of Ipswich Library Service have a book sale this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I encourage you there. If you just bring one of your IGA, your Aldi, your Coles or your Woolies bag, you get a bag full for $5.
How brilliant.
Down to the Ipswich Central Library.
Great plug. But we're here for it. Without any further discussion, we'll take that to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous and carried. Our fourth item is the Community Funding and Support Allocation Status Report from the 1st of October to the 31st of December. Would anyone like to speak to the relevant council officer? The recommendation here is that the report concerning the allocation of council's community funding and support programs from 1 October to 31 December 2022 be received and the contents noted. I'm happy to move that. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Doyle. I now open that up for any discussion.
If I may, Chair. Just let you know that I get a lot of feedback from the community and how easy it is to apply for grants. And obviously they've noticed that we've been responsive each year, sort of, you know, tweaking the grants to see if we can get the maximum impact in our community. So it's great to see. I did note things like the council discretionary fund. There's still quite a bit of money. There's over, I think, 90,000 in there. So I wouldn't mind if we work with our grants team to see how we're tracking for each of the programs and let people know, you know, if there's grants to apply for the rest of this financial year. That's, yeah, I think a great mix of community groups. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Mayor. Just picking up on your point about working with the grants team, working with councillors or working with community to ensure that they're accessing that stream?
I was just looking at, I guess, finding from the council offices where the grants are at, but then we can be promoting that, let people know.
Awesome. Yep, happy to provide that as an update for everyone to share far and wide.
I think the council discretionary fund, there's 190 odd thousand, and there's still, I think, 90,000 in there, and it's February. Thanks.
And we've seen a real uptick in this, and I think it's got a lot to do with the capacity building that we've been doing with our community groups as well. Taking them through the process, it's not as daunting as people may think it is when they think of a grant. Councillor Doyle and I were in a meeting yesterday with regards to a different approach to grants where artists will have their art displayed on the Energex boxes, and they have a lot more people participate in that because they gamify it, they make it a competition. But in essence, it's still a grant that they're writing for themselves to promote their work. So I think our community development officers go a long way to supporting that. I certainly push a lot of our community groups to actually speak to community funding directly, and they're always, extremely helpful in that regard. So great to see council supporting the community with so many successful grants, and more to come. I'll take that one to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous and carried. And lastly, this morning we have the Customer Experience Program Quarterly Report. Would anyone like to speak to the relevant council officer? Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Enquire.
Morning, councillors. Anne Carhill, Customer Strategy and Experience Manager.
Hi, Ms Cahill again. Just referring to the transferred actions on page 42. There's one there on action 4, data clean, as we transfer to the ICT project. Just wondering, will that report back to you on how that's progressing, or how do we track that? I know that's a part of the program as well.
Yes, they'll report back to us and we'll report it. We'll highlight what's happened.
Yep.
In the same way that the EX program is run by the People and Culture branch. They will report back to us.
Yep. How are you finding the rollout of the program? You've got a big project there.
It is. For me, the beginning of this year is a pivot point. You'll see in the report that we've merged some things and transferred from the immediate action plan to the strategy. So the strategy means that we're talking to the whole organisation. So we're shifting from the customer service focus to the whole organisation. And it's been a while to get to that point, but you can feel it with the staff that they want to help and they want it to get going to make the change right across the organisation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
Sorry.
Thank you. On page 45, the Customer Contact Centre Campaign, Action 13, as I understand it, council employees are able to attend to the Customer Contact Centre and run through some scripting that's being given. Is that right? So
They can sit in on and with an agent and listen to the calls. So they don't participate or anything, but they're sitting there and they can hear what happens and they can see on the screen what the agent has to do and how they deal with each call that comes in. We recommend it for over half an hour because of the range of calls and things that come in.
I was just going to say, if I were a planning expert, for
Yes.
instance, and I was doing this and I found a deficiency in the scripting,
Yes.
would that be an opportunity for me to help refine it?
Absolutely, and that is the case. But the stronger thing that we found is that will benefit this program is people are coming down and first of all gaining respect for that team that they haven't had before, on how much they do have to deal with. And last Monday, for example, there were 900 calls in one day. It's a lot of calls for 20 people to deal with and the range of topics. But what we've found also is they're picking up things that we've never thought of. So they're saying, oh, that took you a while, that took, they've seen steps that are hard and that, well, I can help you with that, if someone's there from ICT. So what you're saying is true, but the bigger benefit we're finding is people saying, I can help you, I can add value.
Sure, thank you.
Just with regards to Immediate Action Plan 6, as at our last report in November, that was due to be completed the 30th of the 12th, and it's blown out quite significantly again to a late April completion. Do we want to just explore that a little bit more?
The Genesis
Correct.
integration.
Yep.
That would have been twofold. One is a choice of ours to focus on finishing the CES improvements first. And the second is we're currently going through a process of a review of the contact centre, which is, I'm sorry, I don't know the numbers off by heart, but the contact centre structure optimisation. And that's due to be finished in the end of February. and we thought there might be some recommendations from the consultant looking that might benefit the integration of the two software platforms.
Awesome. And we spoke in some detail about the customer interaction tool at our last meeting, and that was also due for completion of the 30th of the 12th last year. Do we have an update on that? How did that go?
We've got a great update for you. There was long delays with procurement for all sorts of reasons, and at the end there was also an ICT component to ensure that the preferred option could fully integrate with API standards and things like that. The contract has been signed and our first meeting is next Monday.
Great. Very timely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Through the chair, just a question. I don't need a whole report, but I've had a few calls lately where people have said that they've been on waiting for their call to be answered for 20 minutes and then they hang up. Is it possible, just to give me a snapshot, I don't want to report every time, but is it possible to give me a snapshot of, you know, how many calls actually fall out before they're answered?
Yes, sure. I can't give you the statistics on that. I'm happy to bring them back. We can measure that any time through the day. In fact, it's tracked by our team leaders and seniors. In December and January, we did have higher than normal fallout. It was due to a problem with the headsets and that the whole organisation use. So there was a few second delay between the customer, between the connection and the customer thinking someone was there, and so a lot of people either waited or hung up and things like that. So that it slowed the whole system down.
Through the chair, it wasn't so much that people didn't answer, it was that they were on the phone for 20 minutes and weren't answered, so that's when they've hung up. Well, that's what I'm told anyway.
Yeah, okay. We can provide those statistics in the customer service. I think we do it 6 monthly report. Would you like it more often than that?
Yeah. I think that through the chair, the councillor is asking just for a snapshot at a recent point in time.
I don't know the detail of that, but I'd be very... Sorry? Yeah, sure.
We'll follow up. Yep. Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The recommendation here is that this report will be received and its contents noted. I'll move. Do I have a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Jonick. Any discussion?
Thank you, Chair. So I guess down to the nitty-gritty of some of the things that the CX strategy is helping with, especially for our business owners. So I just wanted to highlight that there's processes in council that are old and tedious, and they require a lot of human intervention. It's the way it's always been done, but there's over 300 processes, I'm told, that could be worked on to harness tech and then make end-to-end interactions with customers and small business owners and their consultants much easier. So from like lodging plumbing reports for a building inspection and not having man hours and scanning, like simple things that people forget that take a lot of time, and it lifts the morale of our community and it lifts the morale of the staff, I can only imagine. So like underneath all of the reporting here, there's some really great benefits that I'm hearing. So I just wanted to thank everyone that's been working on this and yeah, just keep going.
Very much in the spirit of our small business friendly council, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Thank you for that positive feedback. Any further discussion? I'll take that to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous and carried. That brings us to the conclusion of committee this morning at 11:41 a.m. Next committee will commence at 11:51 a.m.